Hello, and thank you for taking the time to review our proposal. My name is Blaise Smith, and I'm joined today by my teammates William Glenn and Kionti Traylor. Together, we're preparing a strategy to reduce overtime costs at Amazon fulfillment centers through smarter predictive scheduling. We'll show you the problem, why it matters, and why this is the right solution for Amazon right now. One of the biggest challenges in our fulfillment centers is our heavy reliance on overtime. Right now, when we face labor shortages or spikes in demand, the go-to solution seems to be to ask employees to stay longer. That quick fix comes with big costs. First off, you got payroll expenses. They're going to rise because overtime hours are more expensive than regular hours. Second, the long hours usually lead to employees becoming burnt out and higher turnover. And finally, the strategies we're using are short-term band-aids. They keep us running today, but they don't address the deeper scheduling issues that will continue to hurt us in the long run. Alright, so here is why this issue really matters for Amazon. First off, overtime drains profits across all fulfillment centers, directly cutting into our margins. Second, high turnover means we're constantly spending more on recruiting and training, which is expensive and disrupts operations. Third, the scheduling instability lowers morale and efficiency. When employees can't rely on predictive schedules, productivity drops and absenteeism rises. And finally, if we continue down this path, there's a long-term risk for Amazon's competitive advantage. Unstable operations threaten our ability to stay ahead as the world's leader in fast and reliable fulfillment.
This project will use a quantitative observational study design supported by internal organizational data and employee surveys from an Amazon fulfillment center. A quantitative approach is appropriate because overtime costs and scheduling inefficiencies are measurable statistics captured in organization payroll, scheduling, and operational systems. So the focus is on measurable indicators such as overtime hours, staffing schedules, and order demand, supplemented by qualitative employee surveys. Payroll and scheduling records provide precise, verifiable overtime measures, while surveys add context to how employees experience scheduling. Combining these sources allows the study to measure actual overtime drivers and understand how scheduling practices affect workers. The study will gather several categories of data to evaluate the drivers of overtime and scheduling inefficiency, such as payroll and overtime records, which are total hours worked, overtime hours worked, and labor costs for the fulfillment center. Shift schedules and staffing logs, so planned versus actual coverage across shifts and departments, and order volume and demand data, so hourly and daily orders with special attention to spikes during holidays and events such as Amazon Prime Day or Black Friday sales. And then finally, employee surveys. We want to look at feedback on fairness, predictability, and the frequency of overtime requests by the Amazon Fulfillment Center. And by combining operational data with employee feedback, the study can highlight both structural scheduling issues and how they are experienced on the floor by workers. For the employee survey, a few sample questions may be something like, how often are you asked to work overtime in a typical month? Do you believe schedules align well with workload demands? Rate your current satisfaction with scheduling practices, and what improvements would make schedules more predictable or fair? These questions are designed to surface patterns in employee experience that may not be evident from payroll and scheduling data alone. And then to ensure that our data is valid and reliable, we will use established HR scales for the qualitative survey questions, and responses will remain anonymous to encourage honest feedback. Payroll, scheduling, and order records will be cross-checked for consistency, errors, outliers, etc. and we will use multiple years of data to capture seasonal patterns and reduce the number of outliers or bias from any individual year. Our study will apply several analytical techniques, such as descriptive summaries, looking at group means, statistical significance between groups, or overtime rates, and labor units, average labor cost, etc. We will also use predictive models, so statistical analysis models such as regressions, t-tests, and ANOVA, to look for significant differences in survey groups or data bundles, and then use time series forecasting models to predict labor demand and identify when overtime is likely to occur. Lastly, build visualizations showing trend charts, overtime spikes, scatter plots showing order demand and staffing gaps, and bar charts showing cost savings from alternative scheduling strategies. The data that we're using will fall under several assumptions, such as we're assuming internal organization data is accurate, survey responses are honest and representative, past order demands are representative of future activity, and there will be no major operational changes during the study period. And together, these methods provide both a clear picture of current inefficiencies and a forward-looking view to guiding staff decisions.
So before we discuss our recommended approach, there are several other solutions that organizations frequently pursue, which fail to provide adequate protection. So starting off, we have hiring more staff. So at a first glance, adding more headcount does seem logical, but it can be serious the costs associated with operating it. In a changing demand situation, retaining a bloated workforce may be unrealistic and financially unviable. You also have counting on overtime. So that's an option that many people rely on, but that's just short term and sometimes it's not sustainable. You also have overworked employees, which get tired, which can cause burnout and a slump of morale. Sooner or later, they'll feel it in their productivity and the retention. You also have outsourcing, which can lower the cost, frequently at the expense of quality though. So you have control fades when the most important functions are taken off the premises and service quality can be impacted. So this can be detrimental to consumer confidence and the brand image. You also have data. So of course that is key. That brings us the real opportunity. So a smarter data-driven approach. You can take our data and optimize where these resources are allocated, how we perform, what we are focused on, and do it automatically as demand changes dynamically for what is needed without the cost of the old systems. So instead of sticking to old methods or costly methods, let us discuss how we can utilize data-driven solutions to revolutionize our operations and achieve long-term results. So now we have a perfect moment to explore our proposed solution, predictive scheduling, which addresses existing gaps. So utilizing Amazon's data, we leverage payroll, shift schedules, and order history from Amazon's data resources to create a more accurate scheduler without requiring new hardware. We have intelligent demand forecasting. By analyzing historical trends, we can proactively predict busy periods and adjust staffing levels. We can schedule optimization. So with forecast in hand, we produce optimized schedules that minimize overtime and ensure staff are in the right places at the correct times. We incorporate employee feedback. So with employee surveys that help assess the effectiveness and fairness of schedules, boosting morale and retention. So by combining big data intelligence with human-centered design, our predictive scheduling offers a more efficient, employee-friendly workforce management solution that scales easily. This text outlines practical information about our intelligent scheduling software. We have reduced overtime, so we anticipate a 15 to 20% decrease in overtime, leading to cost savings by using labor more efficiently. Have improved employee satisfaction, so balanced scheduling enhances employee experience, reducing turnover and hiring cost. We have faster order processing, so properly scheduled staff improves efficiency, resulting in faster order processing, fewer delays, and increased customer satisfaction. We also have scalable solution, so this solution can be implemented across all fulfillment centers, ensuring consistent and impactful results. These improvements enhance operational performance and align with Amazon's long-term goals of fitness, worker welfare, and customer satisfaction.